We're continuing to elaborate on the violence in the Arab community and surge in murders with Professor of Law and Criminal Justice, also Director of the Institute of Criminology at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, Professor Badi Hasisi. Badi, great having you here today. Now, tell me, what factors do you believe have contributed to the dramatic increase in murders within the Arab sector in Israel, turning it into what it's being referred to as a plague of homicides? Where are the local officials?
Yeah, I think it's a complicated factors that brought us to this to the high numbers of homicide. Well, it's I guess if we try to rank the factors, we will start that in order to deal with violence, you need a strong state, and you need a strong police. And it's not unique that minority groups have high rates of criminal activity. This is frequent around the world. But we know that in order to deal with this high rates, you need to be very effective, very efficient. And I think so far it's been done too late, too small, I think, with the dosage. And as we saw from a small episode for about 1 year, that the state of Israel mobilized a lot of resources in order to deal with this problem. Under the previous government, under Sigalovich, as a deputy at the Ministry of Interior Security, we saw some signs of improvement, some signs that showed that it's possible. It's not like something that you cannot deal with. So this is a main factor that we should take into consideration. Of course, after stating or also addressing the high rates of criminal activity within the Arab community, and the fact that low governability is the structure, deviant behavior and criminal activity. So the more the state is stronger, the more we have culture, law and order, we will have less violence and less crime, serious crime.
Badi, is the involvement of the Shin Bet to fight these crimes effective in your eyes? What do you have to say about the timing also?
Well, I think now we are in a state that any help and any mobilizing of resources would be appreciated. So I think the Shin Bet is also complicated involvement, since its unique mission is to thwart terror activity. And here in our case, we have to be aware of this complexity when you deal with democratic society and bringing people to justice. Saying that, I think the Shin Bet could become very helpful by the main problem that now facing in the Arab community are the seizing of firearms. This is the big issue, that now it's very easy to get a firearm in the Arab society, and conflict that used to be, it could ended with some punching and physical minor physical injuries, now are ending with mortality, with homicide cases. So this should be first and foremost the main mission, to try to seize. The other thing that we should be aware is what we call the high policing capabilities. And in that sense, the Israeli police are well trained to tackle organized crime. If you recall the case of 512 case, so the Israeli National Police are able to mobilize and to deal with the organized crime, but also in this case, help of other agencies, the Shabak and maybe other agencies as well, are much appreciated in order to tackle the organized crime structure, the seizing of firearms. I think those are main heavy issues that I think that both the national police and other local agencies are not able to deal with.
Badi, hopefully the government and the police will start putting a lot of work into the Arab community and the violence there. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.